Welcome to another day in the Matrix. This is a Red Pill Podcast 166. I hope you're all having a beautiful weekend out there and happy June. Happy Juno. I hope you're all doing amazing. Really excited for today's episode because we had an incredibly volatile weekly and monthly close for the stock market that we will be recapping. We'll also be checking back in with the total 3 altcoin market cap chart. It's been a little bit of time since we've reviewed that. Of course, going over our usuals, Bitcoin, Ethereum, XRP, and then we'll be getting into a bunch of different altcoins that we haven't covered in some time, some new. Really excited for today's episode. I hope you're all having the best start to the month. We're about a week out from the upcoming new moon. Lots of things going on in the world stage. Lots of energy, lots of distractions, especially with what's going on with American politics. It is bread and circus at its finest. Of course, we will be talking about some of those things today, but we want to focus on what really matters the most, which is positioning ourselves effectively to be a part of this wealth transfer and not get distracted along the way. But before we get into today's podcast, go ahead, get relaxed, get comfortable, grab yourself a cup of coffee or tea if it's a little bit earlier out there, or a glass of wine or beer or any beverage of your choice if it's a little bit later and you're about to unwind. Tune into this podcast before mellowing out for the night. But I myself am just drinking some good old water with lime juice added. Boring. But anyways, I just wanted to let you all know that we have been doing awesome with the altcoin voting system. Again, all you have to do to submit your requests for what altcoin you want me to follow up on next week, just go into the comment section of this Patreon post below in the comments and submit the altcoin and the ticker symbol that you are interested in, and whatever the community votes on and gets the most votes, we'll be covering those 4 or 5 altcoins in the following Red Pill podcast. This week, we're going to be going over IOTA, NEO, OX Protocol, and Jasmy. So, of course, as well, getting into total 3 altcoin market cap chart as mentioned a moment ago. And if you are new to the Wolfpack, welcome. It's so great to have you here with us. If you've yet to get access to our Discord server, just go ahead and send me a direct message here on Patreon with your Discord username, and I'll be able to get you onboarded that way. Don't comment or email me with your Discord details. I won't be able to get you onboarded that way. You'll need to reach out to me directly via a Patreon direct message. If you're having trouble figuring that out, all you got to do is click on the profile picture of my account in the top comment of this Red Pill podcast, right below the video, right below the post, and that will bring you to my account, and there will be a send message option. And just a quick reminder from yesterday's post, today is the last day to get my Decoding Mastermind course at this intro price before the price goes up later tomorrow. It's my first time increasing the price since the course launched, and as some of you who've been around for a little bit of time might remember, I did a pre-sale launch on this Decoding Mastermind. So some people here in the Patreon, it was exclusive to Patreon members only. You got in at the very beginning and it was the most affordable at that time. I decided to just keep the intro price after pre-sale launch all the way up until now. And I've effectively just added this new crypto decoding blueprint at no additional cost. So it's essentially a buy one, get one free. And for full transparency on the pricing, the original price for the Decoding Mastermind is $297 USD, and it will be increasing to $347 after tomorrow. It's just going up by 50. So the Patreon member discount after tomorrow will be around $280. Right now it's at $238. So it's right below $240 for our mastermind community members here. And soon I will be offering the crypto decoding blueprint separately. with an intro price of 111, including your Patreon member discount, it brings it down to 88. So naturally, by investing in the full Decoding Mastermind course, which gives you this crypto decoding blueprint already, you'd be getting an even cheaper price by joining today and having it packaged together, since you're getting a full comprehensive decoding course covering everything and not just specifically crypto. And as mentioned, I'll also be adding another module to this decoding mastermind called the Trinity Masterclass. It's coming soon, which will be the next installment in this course. It's bringing even more value to this decoding mastermind project and taking it from the original 20 course lessons to over 50 course lessons when that new module comes out, but for the same intro price that's available from now until tomorrow. So honestly, this is the best value I've ever offered for this price and how high quality the course material experience is. And if you're invested in this Decoding Mastermind, I truly appreciate your support. It really means the world to me. And for those who are interested in the crypto decoding blueprint separately, I'm grateful for you showing interest. And don't worry, I'll be launching that very soon, hopefully this week. I'm just finishing up another decode that I'll be adding to it, which is called 2024 Crypto Bull Run Decoded, which I know you'll appreciate me adding because it answers a lot of those frequently asked questions that I receive, such as what I think the next Bitcoin all-time high would be, what I think the next cycle highs would be, and what dates to expect that to happen, and how I think this cycle will end, when the next bear market would start, and covering my thoughts on when the true alt season will happen and how it will happen, and kind of just sharing all my theories and strategies on that. So I'm working on that behind the scenes, as well as a full decode on Solana. And I'll continue to keep you updated when I launch the standalone crypto decoding blueprint separately. Again, I appreciate all your support. Lastly, I know there's been a couple support requests that I've received from supporters mentioning that the crypto decoding blueprint isn't showing up in your Decoding Mastermind course for whatever reason. What I suggest is logging out of your account on my website, then going to Safari browser, which is my recommended browser for having the best experience on my website with my course material. Then on Safari browser, go ahead and clear your cache and cookies. Then close out of your Safari browser, restart your computer, then go back to Safari, log into my website, log into your account, go to the Programs tab and click on the Decoding Mastermind. Then you'll see this new crypto decoding blueprint course added. I'm sorry that this is happening for some of you. It's out of my control. It has everything to do with Wix. I've tried reaching out to their customer support 3 times over this past couple days. I haven't gotten an answer back, which is very unusual because they're typically very responsive, but for whatever reason, they're dropping the ball on this. But I've been doing my best, and anyone here could vouch for me if you've experienced this problem. I've been doing my best to solve this issue for anyone who's experiencing it within a couple hours. So if that doesn't work, what I just shared a moment ago, you can reach out to my support email and I'll help you out with this. But in most cases, it should work automatically with no further action needed. And if not, you can try troubleshooting with that strategy I just mentioned a moment ago that usually does the trick. And for anyone who's buying this for the first time, you don't have that problem at all because there was just an issue for those that bought it in the past before I added the crypto decoding blueprint to it. But again, it's only a couple people. It's something that I hope to completely solve before the upcoming week. Apologies for that, but I'm doing my best to take care of everyone who's experiencing that. So hopefully I answered all the key frequently asked questions, and moving forward, I'll be done talking about this, but the next update you'll be getting is when I officially launch the crypto decoding blueprint separately. But in the meantime, if you really want the most value, it's with the full Decoding Mastermind while it's still in this intro price over the next 24 hours. And make sure to use your Patreon member promo code. And this promo code, it works as well at checkout. And again, appreciate and grateful for all your support. So getting to today's Red Pill podcast. Last week, we focused a lot on the date of June 3rd. I'm sure you remember it. I also brought it up in the last YouTube video. It had a lot to do with this astrological phenomenon called the planetary parade. This planetary alignment where 6 planets, Mercury, Mars, Jupiter, Saturn, Uranus, and Neptune, will all align in the sky. And the key date for this is tomorrow, June 3rd, the date we were decoding. And it's also interesting how June 3rd actually connects to the Bitcoin all-time high daily close date, which was March 13th, 2024, by 83 days. And the reason being is because 83 is the 23rd prime number. And this number 23 shows up in Bitcoin, in Chaldean, as well as this date of June 3rd is on a Monday, Moon Day, day of the moon. And moon also has this 23 in Chaldean and the same cipher. So we have some synchronicity. Also, 83 days is 2 months and 22 days. So you have that 222 code. Another connection we pointed out was bringing in the Hebrew calendar and connecting June 3rd to the upcoming Hebrew New Year, which is Rosh Hashanah. And that will be October 2nd. And why this is powerful also is because October 2nd is our next solar eclipse. Not including the end date, they're 121 days apart. That's 11 squared or 11 11s. So this master number 11 is powerful. And on this date of June 3rd, it's leaving 211 days in the year. So that's the anagram of 121. Again, 121 is 11 squared. Also, October 2nd is an 11 standard date numerology. So you have this master number 11 as our clear theme here. And 11 is really the number of a restart. Or a reset, however you want to look at it. I'm not calling this to be some sort of currency, economy reset or anything. I'm just talking about specifically this master number, what it represents. This is a lot of the reasoning behind making January our fake first month in the calendar. It really doesn't make any sense to put that month as the new year, but that's what the Gregorian system was all about. And I won't take up too much of your time here with this stream of consciousness, but January is named after Janus. Janus is not symbolic of 1 at all. It's symbolic of 11. It is 2 faces or 2 pillars. 2 towers is the 11, hence 9/11, that ritual. All right. So just think this January concept, it's tied to 11. Now, if we talk about October, Oct is 8, November is 9. Then we would have December, Dechi is 10, January, Janus is 11. All right. So just giving you some background on this power of the 11, it's more about we have a restart. Okay. A restart of energy. Now, that might be very symbolic of what we're talking about here with these 11 codes because of this particular month of June, typically starting off quite bearish for the traditional markets. And during this time frame of sidereal Taurus, in the final days of sidereal Taurus, we're sort of resetting into Gemini. Now, again, I'm using sidereal, which is actually following what's happening in the sky. Gemini is the 2 twins, 2 towers, again coming back to this symbolism of balance. And we have in the Gemini symbol the as above so below as well. So there's plenty to decode in the symbols. I will be doing that, by the way, in the Decoding Mastermind course in the future. For those that are interested in astrology and they like my take on my decoding system and how I decode symbols, I will absolutely be adding that, although I've already started to add stuff within the material that's already there. But yeah, there's so much to get into about this number 11. And in my truth, I feel like it's a number of the restart or the reset. Now, just keep that in mind, okay? Because as we decode, it's important to pick up the pollen on the way towards making honey. So since this planetary parade will be visible tomorrow, June 3rd, in the East Coast of the USA, notably New York, this wouldn't shock me if something goes down in the New York Stock Exchange over the next 24 to 48 hours. So that's into this upcoming June 4th. And it's important I bring this up because remember how I just talked moments ago about the Gregorian calendar and how it's all out of whack purposefully, and how March in this system, after I told you 11 would be January and then 12 would be February, and then the new year would be March. Vernal equinox. So with this concept of March being the true first month in the system and not January, well, this would make June the fourth month. And this date, June 4th, would be 4-4 esoterically. That's 44, the power number. Esoterically, 44 is 2 4s. Okay, so we write 44, which is 2 4s. And of course, we're in the Gregorian year of 24. We're in the Hebrew year of 5784. 5784 adds up to 24, excuse me. And we're in the year of the X, 24th letter in the alphabet. It's all about 24s this year. The year of Jupiter, the Jupiter symbol is the 24. We saw that on the Olympics symbol going all the way back 4 years ago. I've been talking about it now on my channel for 3 years. And we're also in the year of the dragon. The dragon breathes flames, and we have flames giving you the 24 in Chaldean. I said this over 6 months before we even entered the year of the dragon to expect fire rituals throughout this year of 2024. Fire is 38. This is another way of perceiving numbers esoterically. 38 is 3 8s. 888 is 24. Okay? So just 3 times 8. This was something I was talking about with the Kobe Bryant connection to wearing the numbers 8 and wearing the numbers 24, and at death with this helicopter ritual. And then we just had recently with the Iranian president died in this helicopter ritual. We have Iran giving you the 24 and the mirror 42. You can't make this stuff up. This is the code that runs this matrix. So why I think this is really important is we have all these 24 connections, or 44. Anything that has 44, 24 this year is important for this particular decode. And if we include the end date and we go to October 7th of last year, which was the day that Israel declared war, these two dates are 242 days apart. That's the palindrome of the number 24. 24 forwards and backwards. Iran 24, mirror 42. This is madness, all right? So to really cap this decode off, if we want to consider the exoteric and call June the 6th month, just to entertain the normal system, well, then we would have 6-4, 6-4 being 64, and Israel in gematria, English gematria, it equals 64. And June 4th is exactly 22 days. Let me show you this connection. June 4th is exactly 22 days since Israel's Independence Day, which is officially May 14th. We're talking about specifically this war narrative right now. So I'm just letting you know this is pretty fascinating connection. We have this 22 number, and we're in the year of the dragon, giving you that 22 code right there. This is it, family. So this Monday and Tuesday should be really interesting by the code, especially when considering the way the stock market closed this past Friday. And again, we're really focusing in on this planetary parade concept that we brought up a couple weeks ago. But with what I just said a moment ago about the volatility, I want regarding the stock market, I just want to quickly check out the Dow Jones, and look at this. We had 6 straight red candles in the Dow Jones. And then we had one of the biggest daily candle closes, green, monstrous candles. The biggest daily close we've had in over 200 days. In over 200 days, dating all the way back to like November 2nd, I think it was. Let me show you right here. It's this day. We got 1.7%. This one, we got 1.51. Massive move after all of this corrective action. And this could effectively just be retesting a support trend line, which I very much think it is. But we want to keep this in mind, all right? This type of volatility to happen in a single day after this sort of M pattern started to form is a little bit precarious. So with the way that the stock market typically acts in the month of June, I would not be shocked if we broke this and started to maybe push down a little bit further. And naturally, the next big trend line is in alignment with the prior all-time highs, which, by the way, those all-time highs were in the Shemitah year. And again, we keep talking about Israel. Of course, that brings up Judaism, also Zionism. But this particular trend line could absolutely be in play. That's been the whole year so far. You can see that this trend started in this touch point of January 2024, and then we've come down to it in April, had a nice bounce in May, and have returned right back to it within the same month. Higher lows and higher highs. We're in a bull run, guys, and this type of move right here is really ugly in a bull run. This is not looking good, in my opinion. I don't like this structure as a technical analyst. When I see this type of move where we make a new top and then have a sharp correction and then have this Christmas tree-like recovery, not cool, especially with this type of buyback in a single day. Now, let's look at the S&P. And by the way, what I'm talking about right now is not me being bearish. I'm just letting you know what these charts look like. They look awkward, okay? This is a wild level of manipulation. So let's look at the S&P. Look at this scam wick to the downside. Intraday bear trap, wild buyback into the market close. Crazy. Let's look at the NASDAQ. Absolutely wild scam wick. What a circus this is. Now, I'm going to postulate what this could be all about. And I'm asking you guys, because I know some of you might be more into researching or following other analysts that cover the traditional markets or cover news and politics and tied into the markets. And I myself try to stay away from that as much as possible. But I hear things, of course. And it was the talk of the town a couple days ago about this Donnie event being convicted of like 34 whatever, now a felon, whatever. There's a bunch going on in that. I'm trying not to entertain too much of this, but I'm guessing here is the market maker kind of giving the story and giving the narrative for those who speculate to price in what the presidential candidate would be, seeming that it's becoming less likely that Daddy Donnie is going to be making it to Super Tuesday. Is that the case? I don't know. You know my take on it. It's like World Wrestling Entertainment. It's like Macho Man Randy Savage against Hulk Hogan at this point. It's clearly obvious, and it's always been like that. It's been like that before you learned about what I just said. You just didn't notice it, and then one day you woke up and you were like, what? Did I just, what? And then George Bush was president for like 8 years. We had a genius running the show, you know? But not only that, a bonesman. We had a bonesman. We've had multiple bonesmen running this so-called free world. So it's all bread and circus. But I'm asking you guys, because some of you might know, you might actually be tapped into some people that are really, and by the way, I'm not joking right now with what I'm saying. I'm showing respect. Okay. You might be following people that are very, very talented at technical analysis or talented at just putting out the geopolitical conversation, the landscape, and everything that's happening into their analysis, right? There are people out there that do that very, very well. Now, even if some of them are asleep, which we're not saying as a form of judgment, we're just sharing because that is the case sometimes. Not everyone who is awake is also a specialist and the other way around, right? You don't go to a mechanic and then ask the mechanic if they know about what happened during the moon landing. You just need to get your oil changed. So it's the same thing with TA. I hope you guys realize this. Like, I don't believe that you need to necessarily be fully in the know of esoterica to be great at reading the charts. I'm going to be very clear here. I myself have just decided to bring to the table the esoteric element to hopefully add in a lot of the the answers to the whys. Why do we have bull runs certain years? Why do we have bear markets certain years? Why do we have market crashes certain years? Why do we have crazy parabolic advances in certain years? Why during certain months we do this? Why during certain, and that's what my work has been for the world. It's something we could do on a monthly basis with the lunar cycles, something we could do a couple times of the year with the solar and lunar eclipses, something we could do every other couple of years with the solar and lunar cycles, also every 7 years with the Shemitah cycle, also with the element of Mercury retrograde and how that affects the chart. So we've added in all these other elements, and that's great and all, but it is awesome sometimes to know about those people who are just really passionate about the charts and they know what they're doing. I give those people my flowers, and that stream of consciousness is over. I just wanted to share that. What's the question here? Is it that this type of volatility was coming in because of something political? Okay, that's what I'm postulating. That's what I'm wondering. Are they assuming Donnie's out? You let me know. I'd be interested. So, anyways, last thing to say is I looked at the silver chart and I was like, wow, 2.5% down on the same day that we saw all that other stuff going on. So this is just silly to watch the market maker and how they're suppressing this silver breakout. But anyways, let's get into the charts, starting with the total 3 market cap as promised. Altcoin market cap chart excluding Ethereum. And I think that's important because total 2 for me right now is useless with what Ethereum just recently did off of this narrative. I'm not anti-ETH. I hold ETH. It's my 3rd biggest holding. So what I just said has nothing to do with my investment thesis. I'm just letting you know this whole move up on total 2 is just, it's all ETH. So this is a much more interesting to look at right now. And I believe that it's telling me a story. We have this major trend line. We'll be reviewing it in a moment. But before we do this, just a quick reminder that the new moon of this month is coming very soon. It's on June 6th, this upcoming Thursday, and we typically see our microcycle tops within a 5-day window of the new moon, meaning that we're currently in that window now, up until around June 10th. So over here is the moon cycle or moon phases indicator is turned on. We have our current all-time high is around a new moon and then followed into a pullback on the full moon. Then we had a buyback into our second highest high on the solar eclipse, a new moon, and then we peeled back after that. We entered eclipse season right here in this moment, lunar eclipse to solar eclipse. Then what we started to see is a bigger shakeout into the month of May. So even though it happened literally on May 1st, it still effectively happened. We got our lows in the microcycle in the month of May, which was something we were watching for. We had this awkward inverse head and shoulders pattern, and then another rejection at a key level now, which is absolutely significant. And we'll be getting to that a little bit later, but 71,500 for Bitcoin is the level. And if we start to break above that, especially on a weekly or bi-weekly close above that level, we're moving to the next leg of this bull run. So we keep it short and sweet there and just share that. But just wanted to share that these new moons lately have been lackluster. The last new moon, for instance, was lackluster with this sort of energy. And we actually anticipated that because I've been teaching that when we're in eclipse season, we have about 2 moon cycles after of a weird energy. And then once we surpass that, we're now back in the typical manner of seeing really noticeably bullish new moons and more bearish full moons. But when we're in eclipse season, it's not as common. So I've decided to come up with a simple way of describing this whole thing. We had eclipse season here. We had 2 full moons, check. Now we're about to have our second new moon, okay? Once we get out of that, we're done. We'd be moving into the first quarter, and I think we'll start to see it go back to normal. So what does that mean, right? We're out of eclipse season fully. This should be the last, I would call it lunar phase for this upcoming week. We're currently moving out of the influence of eclipse season, and I suspect we'll be back in our normal lunar phase vibe by this June full moon. So in short, that means this sideways market that we're in right now, this sideways market could actually continue through the June full moon if Bitcoin cannot have a bullish buyback into breaking above this $71,500 level. That's the best thing for me to start our analysis with today because that's going to influence everything. Now, another thing to mention is if we start to continue this pattern and break down and start getting below the 66K level, yeah, I definitely think we'll have another sideways and if not down June. And that again is just another opportunity. And we also expected this. This is something I talked about way before the halving and before Bitcoin hit its all-time high. I said 50 days before the halving and 50 days after the halving, we always see Bitcoin in this sideways, boring lull phase. So let's check in on total 3 because I just mentioned the word opportunity, and that's where the opportunities are. They are in the altcoins, and then we'll be getting over to the Bitcoin analysis and so on. So we're here at total 3. I have this chart loaded up. We had this line marked out around the June new moon timeframe, and it was off of older analysis where we were talking about comparing it to the last cycle, where we have this fib pull from the swing high down to the swing low of the C19 crash, this black swan event, which we launched out of past the 382 fib, which is called a spring. So this V-shaped recovery, this shakeout, bear trap is a spring in Wyckoff method. Also, once we pop, oh, by the way, in this new course lesson that I'm going to be adding to the crypto decoding blueprint, I'm going to be thoroughly going over all the Wyckoff charts in the macro and the micro for Bitcoin and for the total alt, kind of the whole crypto market. Those are going to be sick. I can't wait to share those. So again, that'll be included in the Decoding Mastermind. But anyways, we had this spring phase back here. We launched above the 382. And then once we hit the 0.5 fib, we had a little bit of opportunity there, but we then went parabolic. Now, we had this phase inside of the golden pocket, and I want you to see how it looked. We initially got into the golden pocket right around the 702 fib, and then we had a breakdown right below the 618, which was effectively the lowest opportunity we had before things started to really get wild. Now, I'm not entirely convinced that this is going to all happen in the same speed, because if you take from where we started to effectively get above the 702 to where we topped out, it was only 124 days. So if that was to start in, let's just say July, 124 days would be like this happening by November. It's in alignment. It gets you in like right around the time frame of the election, but I do have a sense that we're going to be extended a little bit further out because of the theory of the solar cycle. And we have our 4th solar eclipse in the solar cycle happening in early October. And we typically see this as like the major pivot into the parabolic phase of the bull run. But like I said, we've already had enough time sideways, and it's mimicking very nicely this last market cycle as well, when considering where we're at based on the fibs. So this dump that we had right there, it could very well be the same of this dump. And then we even got a double, a double dump, and this sort of W pattern, it's now shifted another leg higher, and we're back in the golden pocket. And we've been getting supported by the 618 at the bottom of the golden pocket, but we also have this trend line here. So this trend line has now been holding, going all the way back to November of last year. So we're on about 200 days now, exactly, of holding this trend line, but we're still in opportunity zone. So I hope, funny enough, I think it's at 666. But if this breaks down, I do think we want to keep this level of around 625 in mind, 625 billion. Let me see how much of a correction that is. It's about another 7-8% down. At this time, it's seeming less likely that Bitcoin has a lot more to give back. I mean, it's been so sideways lately. So a 7% move for Bitcoin to the downside would be about 62K. If we were to start closing below 60, I think that'd be problematic at this time. I really do, based on our structure. So it's seeming that we had our buying climax, we had our automatic rally, we had a spring phase followed by a test, which is very much this inverse head and shoulders vibe. And now we're moving into, do we have an SOS? And an SOS would be a break, of this 71,500 area, which is so damn close to the all-time highs that that's just the moment where we would initiate price discovery, true price discovery. Right now, Bitcoin is in this pattern, and we're going to cover that in a moment. But if we were to have Bitcoin now decide on taking a leg lower and going into 64, 63, 62K, then I think this trend line is going to break. And then we might come into an issue where it does something like this, where if it was to break down, come back up, it might start getting rejected on this outside trend line until Bitcoin finishes price discovery. Now, you guys might have heard of this before. It's typically how alt seasons go. They're really laggy, and then Bitcoin's just having a parade, and then after Bitcoin peels back and there's a tiny little market correction, then all of the Satoshis flood out into stables, and stables and Satoshis simultaneously flow into ERC20s, and then you see the whole shitcoin market take off. So it's kind of synchronized in a way. And there's a more sophisticated way of laying this whole idea out. I've already done it so many times, and we're far enough away right now where it doesn't really matter to entertain this. We have to focus on this market today and the opportunity here, especially for those that are not exposed to this market. So I myself have been super patient about all of this. I've not made any buys since the big correction we had on the 13th of April, which was an altcoin buy for me. And then I took more action on the following dips, but I'm still kind of just waiting. I don't want to be too much more invested in this because I already started my accumulations all throughout 2023. So I was positioned effectively before we even got to the October solar eclipse phase of 2023. Things are looking really good right now across the board. But if we were to get another leg lower, I think this trend line would be broken. And then I would start to look for this 625 level and then this red trend line at this horizontal ray at 600 billion. That would be pretty big though. That would be a drop of, let me see real quick, I'm assuming 15%. Okay, that would be a drop of about 11%. Keep that in mind. That right there, I think, would be an insane opportunity. And I'm not sure if this is going to be a distributional top with like a reaccumulation schematic. So these reaccumulation schematics that have these distributional tops, followed by this being the automatic rally. And then we have the spring test. SOS is a break of this level right here. Okay, so that could extend things out for sure into July. We have to see how this is all going. And now with this new update with the whole Donnie situation and American politics, and also so much going on with this war, so much going on. This is a really tumultuous year for there to be a bull run, but it's clear as day if you look at the stock market, what's going on. It's a bull run. Also, I think we have a FOMC meeting like June 12th or so. So keep that in mind. That could definitely be a pivot point, and that could lead into another kind of buying up later this month with the full moon. So all in all, we're getting close. We're getting closer and closer, but it's really great to have been aware of this 100 or so days around the halving information so far in advance, because that's exactly how it's going right now. And we're not in alt season, it's clear. So this is not alt season, guys. These are all opportunities. Keep this trend line in mind, draw it on your charts. And this big red box was the area that I anticipated there to be a true breakout. So that would mean clearing this distributional top right here. All right. It's in this red box, which starts it starts mid-June with an emphasis on July, August. And that has a lot to do with this chart right here, which is the presidential election years, and how July and August, specifically August, are incredibly bullish. I think that is likely to also be the case for Bitcoin. And during the last Bitcoin halving, let me check in on that real quick. During the last Bitcoin halving, we had this really weird moment here. You see, from July into August, we launched and we started to break above this top right here. And this top started to get retested, but this turned out to be another distributional top with a massive set of back-to-back red days. This moment right here was a really scary moment for like crypto YouTube. I remember because I was making videos in my crypto mastermind course back then, and everybody and their mother was talking about how the bull run's over. Like, we're going to go down. People thought Bitcoin were going to go even lower than the C19 crash. That was a classic bear trap by the market maker. And this ended up being one of the literally best last minute buying opportunities before the show really got started. So what that means is that's what I feel we're about to move into now, or what we effectively are in now. It's just like that last minute kind of like shake out all the weak hands that got into this market from the memery and stuff that was going on in February and March, all the narratives. Now let's pivot over to specifically Bitcoin and focus on this chart right here, which is showing you a cup and handle, but we have a couple things to talk about. We have these clear resistance rejections, which are now 3 in a row. Even if you wanted to include the current all-time high, we could call that 4, but these are 3 distinct rejections followed by corrections. And here we have this dotted red line, which is in alignment with the 618 fib. And I want you to keep that in mind, because if we were to start closing dailies below that, especially this level right here of the daily close on May 19th, below 66,000, I do think that we would return back to the 382 fib, because that's typically how these fibs play out. We have a buying climax, selling climax, automatic rally, spring. After your test, you return back to your prior resistance. And if you get rejected, it's very typical to return back to the 382. So if that was the case, that would be like seeing Bitcoin at 62,500 one more time. And because this is a cup and handle formation, this is the handle that we could be in. And it's clear that this is the resistance line of the handle. And we just have to see what's the support of this handle, because it doesn't necessarily need to be perfectly angled like this. It could be a little bit more narrow, it could be wider. We'll see. But for the most part, I just have these kind of equally, fairly distributed, and we'll see how this goes down. But it's all about the levels right now. So I'm going to be pulling up this chart. We had 2 cups drawn out. We had this larger one, which I was just showing you. And then we have another one, this blue one, which is extending out, considering all of these corrections you see here on the bottom of this blue curve, including May. As it curves up, you can see I have this circled because we have this descending resistance, rejection, rejection, back below it, rejection, rejection, breakout. All right. So this is a very key level. And it seems like when we broke out of this, maybe I'll turn this a different color for you all, for you guys, make it yellow. Once we broke above this yellow line, we haven't really back tested it. So the most bullish thing right now would be returning back to this to back test it. And that would also be back testing the key monthly support level right here. So if Bitcoin was to go down that deep, I think that would be very scary for a lot of people. A lot of people would think that, okay, what's going on here? A lot of liquidations would be going down, and that's just kind of the way the market maker works. They like you to think it's all bullish and we're just going to go to heaven, and then they hit you with a sideways and boring market for a couple months to just reset sentiment. And it's actually a good thing. It is the best thing that could happen. And I've talked about this several times. So you want to keep this level in mind of 66,000. If we start closing below that, I do think we're going to drop to the low 60s. Let's put up some of our moving averages. We have right now the 13, 21, 34 EMAs. We are now closing 5 straight days below the 13 EMA. We see the 13 EMA is starting to slope to the downside, and it could now become a resistance. What would we look to next? Naturally, the 21 EMA. If we start closing below that, that is a key level to hold, and that would be a signal that much deeper is underway. So with what we've recently hit in May, we could absolutely be seeing another 10-15% correction ahead. And I know that doesn't sound fun right now, but that's just the way this market works. There needed to be a lull phase. There needed to be a boredom phase. There needed to be a shakeout phase. And that's what we're combining, all 3 of those things into a 3 to 4 month period. We're also at over 3 months now. So once we hit that 100-day mark, that will really solidify analysis that I've shared of this market has a 100-day plus sideways boring phase, and to expect that during the bull run. And we're here. Mamma mia. Now, one thing I mentioned earlier that I'm becoming skeptical of is the idea of us going lower than where we've already gone. A lot of people have been hitting me up in the comments and even emailing me saying, Waters, you know that we're going to correct much more, right? You know that we're going to crash to like 40K. And I don't know where that's coming from. I'm not sure if that's their own TA or if that's just them being like a perma bear. Sometimes that happens, especially the people that don't like Bitcoin, but they don't understand the ramifications of that happening. If Bitcoin was to drop to that low, we're done. Like alt season won't ever happen. And it was all just a big trap. So I don't have any analysis that points to that, to breaking lower than the 50K zone for sure. There was the idea of entertaining a correction back to this previous trading range, but the time is important here, the timing. And the longer and longer and longer that we're trading in this level, it's obvious that all of our key moving averages are going to start to get higher and higher, and you can't be expecting much deeper levels. So we already had a back test of the 21 EMA. I don't see us closing below the 21 EMA at this time. I just don't. You know, if we were to, that could be nasty, because look what happened in the last bull run. When we took off into price discovery, we distributional topped for a long time, 3 months. And then once we got back to the 21 EMA and we closed right on it, that was the signal of a deeper dump. So that was a full 50 something % correction. And then we just had a double top and it was all over. This was one of the ugliest market cycles of all time. So far, our market cycle is looking a lot healthier, especially now that we've stalled out and we've been trading in this zone for, wow, would you look at that? Same amount of days. 84 days. What did I measure it off of here? Yeah, 84 days. So we're getting very close to like about how long the market maker likes to bore retail. Anyways, now that we're here on the weekly, things are looking good. The only thing is we have clearly not been able to break that 71,500 level, which I've brought up several times. This is wrong, this index chart. You see the candles right there. That's why, guys, like, it's important to know what's going on because not all the data is correct. You see this is a glitch. Let me show you what it should look like. That's what it should look like. They should be touching the same because one market closes and the next one opens. Anyways, don't always trust the charts is the words of wisdom here. Now, we're not looking so bad if we were to close at this level. The only thing I would say is if we got sucked down to 66,000 and slightly below to the high 65 region between now and our weekly close, that would be awkward. Of course, that could happen next week on a daily, but then we would just have 1 week of maybe a shakeout, and then we could be right back at it looking pretty good. But ultimately, June is this weird month. You know, you see it right here in the data. It's sideways, but ultimately has been bullish. The problem here is we typically have a bearish April and May in presidential election years, and that wasn't necessarily the case for the stock market this year around. So very weird, very weird. But I think I showed you guys this in a couple podcasts ago where we went over the year of the dragon, S&P data all the way back to like the Great Depression. And I showed you that. Keep in mind that we do have a couple iterations where we had a slightly bullish May, but we had a major correction into early June. And then we pivoted in the month of June. But the analysis is the same. June was the pivot. And it was really July that was looking bullish. The same thing happened in the year where we had that Jupiter-Uranus conjunction in Taurus. We went over that analysis. And by the way, me and Sama will be getting back together in a couple weeks to do a round 2 podcast. Going to be focusing on some of what's gone down in these markets since then. But if you go recheck out that podcast, you'll hear a lot of what I said about how during the Jupiter-Uranus conjunction back in, what was it, 1940, when was it? It was like 1940, no, 1941, 1942. I forgot off the top of my head. There's a lot of things going on in my mind, but it's quite a while ago. It was like 80 something years ago. And during that moment, the market was super boring around the Jupiter-Uranus conjunction. And 3 weeks after it, was the lowest we went for the rest of the cycle. Now, this Jupiter-Uranus conjunction was actually on the day of the Bitcoin halving. And if you look effectively within 2 weeks later, was about as low as we got. But then if we do a full 3 weeks, look at that. That's 3 weeks. We were seeing Bitcoin right around 60K. So I am not really convinced if we could go much lower than that, especially considering that data point as well. But anyways, we got to keep our levels in mind, and we have this 34. If we close below 34, we could be heading. Yeah, I mean, there you have it. We would start to now see all of our key EMAs curve to the downside, and it would be a little bit more sideways to go. One thing to mention, though, is our 200 moving averages are now all the way up above 55K. Crazy. So we've gotten above this prior trading range, and we haven't back tested them since October. This is very bullish type vibes. All right. Last look at the daily. Let me see. Got a bi-weekly coming up, I think. Yes, we do. Okay, bi-weekly close. This isn't looking that pretty, but we're still above all of our key moving averages, so I can't say anything danger zone right now. Things are fine. Any corrections now are just opportunities, you know that. All right, so here we are in Ethereum, and we had a big buyback on ETH over the past couple weeks with this whole ETF approval thing going on. And what we're about to close being below this level right here is not satisfying, because this happened with the approval and post Bitcoin ETF approval. So riddle me this. Why was ETH more bullish after Bitcoin's ETF was approved than it was after its own ETF approved? This is a game, everyone. This is a game. This should be fucking double the price, right? But it doesn't matter, because that's not how this market works. It's never how it worked. Remember back when the Bitcoin ETFs were approved, and every single day people were just like, look at the inflows. Look at the inflows from institutions. And then it's like 100 days later, and we're still below 70K. Come on, dude. It's a ritual. Yes, we hit all-time highs before the halving, but how many days did it last? You understand? It's very simple. It's all ritual. But yeah, I mean, I proved a very good point there just with a couple sentences. Why, off of the launch of the Bitcoin ETF approval, was there a higher prices and more speculation for ETH than there was for after ETH's ETF was approved in its own asset? Obviously, a sham. So this bi-weekly close would not be very convincing, very awkward. Look at the monthly close. Ooh, this is good though. We did get a monthly close higher. That does count. Very nice to see. Bi-monthly, sorry, that's not coming in until July. But yeah, this bi-weekly is definitely very, very awkward. So I'm not thinking we're going to have a full reversal like a Twin Towers candle, but we could very much have an instance like this where we get another little bit of a pullback just because the hype and the euphoria is gone. Our weekly close last week was also lower than the weekly close in March 4th. Again, weird considering the ETH ETF was approved here and not here. Also, this weekly showing resistance and not seemingly breakout energy. 5-day looking pretty good. 5-day closing on June 4th. So you want to keep this level of 3,719 in mind, because if we were to start closing below 3,700, which would be just a 3% or so move to the downside, then this would look like it's probably going to keel over back to the 3,300 level. And this was 100% driven off of a narrative, obviously. Yeah, could be a distributional top. You need to watch out for this stuff, especially when you have the big rally sideways and then the Twin Towers in the middle, and then the same amount of sideways following. These turn into Bart Simpson heads. So definitely watch out for that. Bart head could come down to the 34 typically, and we do have a lot of trading range between this 34 EMA and this 55 simple. And if we were to come all the way back to the 55 simple, that would be a retest on this level right here, which you can see is some supports. Here it was treating it as resistance, but breaking out of it is good to back test it. So I don't know if ETH is going to come down this low. This would be in synchronicity with Bitcoin coming down to like 62, 61. Again, not calling that that's necessarily going to be the case. Also, I don't really care what Bitcoin does at this point. It's just we're using it as a market compass, right? That's really what matters. Until Bitcoin starts breaking into price discovery, it's just another day in the matrix. And if Bitcoin was to come back right to the lows of the range, it's not a new update. It's the same thing it's been doing for 3 months, right? So you guys understand where I'm at with all of this. This is just sideways. It's been sideways since March. It's June. So yeah, if we were to come down to that level, I think that'd be an incredibly lucrative opportunity to scoop up some, maybe even ETH, if you're not exposed to it at all. I don't think ETH's going anywhere. I think it's going to be a big player in the future of our economy in a lot of ways. Tokenization of the stock market, for instance. XRP, okay, really can't update too much on this. This was where it was at in the last Red Pill podcast. We are now lower. This is just slowly draining out. It's getting a blood transfusion. There's very little life force left in this thing. There's very little volume. Let me pull up the volume signature. Yeah, this isn't, wow. Okay, there's no volume. There's no volume. This is in a very awkward, actually bearish pennant. Bearish pennant because it would be a symmetrical triangle at this point because of the timeline. It's been going on for over a month. I would like to call it a triangle at this point, not just a pennant. Pennants I would call 3 weeks or less. A month more, could call it triangles. But yeah, it's clear that this is forming some sort of triangle right now. Sorry, I don't have the cleanest XRP chart available, but this does for now. Actually, let me check in with this chart right here. Okay, this is great. Wow, this white line has been really the best support, guys. Look at this. Let's just check in on this real quick. So we have this C19 crash, retest, backup phase, launch, retest again because of the SEC Ripple case, big correction, and we launched off of that. At the end of that alt season, we came down to this trend line into the bear market, and we've traded into that support over and over and over and over again, and that's where we're at now. That's good, but boring as hell. So yeah, if we are to get one more shakeout in Bitcoin, I think we'll see 49 cents. I mean, we're basically there already. This thing is just slowly boring the hell out of everyone, and that's done very purposefully. It's really that 70-cent level until we break down. You can't update on this too much, but this is now getting to be arduous with this consolidation, and just giving you the downside level. It would be in alignment with this, all of this after this big flash correction into April 13th, and it would also be in alignment with this move right here before this pretty solid, pump into March. That's your level. It's 49 cents. And then thinking of all the 49 rituals this year, we had the 49ers lose the Super Bowl for the second time against the Chiefs. The last time that happened was during the C19 ritual. We had 49 days after Bitcoin's current daily close all-time high was May 1st, which is our current daily close low. Then 49 days after Satoshi's 49th birthday, we have the Ethereum ETF approval. I mean, you can't make this stuff up, right? So this 49 code is even seeing itself with XRP with all these freaking retests at 49 cents. So I mean, damn, pretty wild to see, but can't really update too much. You got the downside level, and the upside level still hasn't changed now for months. We really need to clear the 73, 74 cent level with a macro candle closure. Right now, that's clearly a big resistance for XRP. Oh, and then also, just to recap, we need Bitcoin price discovery to see XRP get bullish again. That's how it went in 2017. That's how it went in 2021. It's the same. I'm not expecting different, regardless of the SEC case. The SEC case can still be going on, and if Bitcoin starts breaking out into 80, 90, etc., I expect XRP to move. It's just how the market works. It's ruled by astrology, numerology, gematria. It has a lot less to do with all the other things. Also, we could prove that because over here let me show you, July is the highest we've been in years. And in that moment was when Judge Annalisa Torres said that for retail, XRP is not deemed a security. Why are we lower since then? Well, because the narrative never mattered. It was just an opportunity to quickly speculate. And then we've returned back because the true investors are not holding this thing. There is very little investing in this. There's very little speculation in this, sadly. But like, where's the XRP army at? They're not showing up to this battle. And you could tell by the way this is slow draining and there's no volume. Very, very few are buying the dip is what I'm trying to say, and it's obvious in the charts. And that is happening simultaneously while Ripple itself probably is dumping on their own investors. Anyways, we're getting into IOTA. And don't call me bearish on XRP. It's my second biggest holding. Don't do that. It's the Red Pill podcast. It's important we get spicy. I'm not trying to appease anyone here. It's the facts. Gotta talk about the truth. It sucks, but it sets you free. It's been a minute since I looked at IOTA. I have a little bit of this in a venture capital bag. We have a long-term Wyckoff range mapped out with your buying climax going all the way back to November 2017. Selling climax being the C19 crash, then this being a test zone followed by an automatic rally. This automatic rally was what we called the 2021 alt season. Then this keeled over. We've now went right back into the selling climax range, which is what we would call a spring. Sometimes springs go a little bit lower. But if I was to look at this on a line chart, you'd see that they're pretty much in alignment. So now after a spring, you have a test. And then after this test zone, which is effectively in the same test zone as the last selling climax, you now have a surge in price up to an SOS. The issue here is we can't have called it an SOS until we break above $2.70, or at least this line right here. Let's be fair. I would actually go to the weekly to be very, very clear. Yeah, I have the line perfectly drawn out at $2.32. That's when we would be calling a SOS. You could even be kind enough and call it this level right here too, if you want. We'll call it the SOS range, 180 to 230. Now, why did you invest in this, Waters? Well, if my SOS is all the way up here and I'm getting in here, I'll take 100% just to get to the SOS, not even true price discovery. Sounds like a good time to me. So I like to build an investment thesis where if I'm going to be speculative on something that does not have a pretty chart, which by the way, this does not, this is a horrible chart. The fact that this is still trading down near the C19 levels is not solid. It's bad. This would be like if Bitcoin was trading at $5,000 right now. But it's not. Bitcoin's trading at almost 70,000. Okay, but if I zoom out, this is where the C19 crash was. It was right around here where IOTA is trading in the middle. Sorry, let me turn off all these indicators so you can see very clearly. We could fairly say right here, right, was about where IOTA is trading at now. You see, if I turn off everything, this is your V shape. We're about halfway through it. It's where we're trading today. Okay, today. That's right there. That's $7,000 Bitcoin. Bitcoin is up 800% since. All right. So these altcoins are cool and all. And I know that this one has some other narrative behind it, mostly built by the XRP army. And I'm aware of ISO 222 compliance, etc. But this is not something that you should be betting the farm on. It's called venture capital. That's how I'm treating it, because the market performance has been shite. So I like the fact that I can get in on this and I know it's not going anywhere and it's going to go up potentially a 10x from where we're at to the Bitcoin price discovery moment. And then we have no idea how it's going to go in a true alt season, because if it could break above this AR and effectively go into a real SOS, then we're back testing the buying climax. And that's a move all the way up about 2,000 to 3,000% from where we are today. And that's where I have been aiming my venture capital decisions. If it could do about 2,000 to 3,000%, I'm feeling pretty good with it. And I don't even need price discovery, by the way. I'm just working on the prior data in the charts from where it was speculated at in the past. So that is also a form of speculation, but at least it has data. All right. When you start getting into numbers that have never been seen before, that's a higher form of speculation, obviously, right? So if we are capable of doing a full bull run move for IOTA, that's an 8,000%, 7 to 8,000%. Pretty wild. Now, how would that go? Probably be blow off top. Like, it'd probably just happen a couple days. I wouldn't even put my sell limit at 17. I'd put it probably down at 12, 10 to 12. I'd probably just play the psychological game and put it at 10. Why? Because I'm not dumb. I don't want to miss out on a blow off top not triggering any of my limit orders, which is another thing that needs to be spoken about. Again, we'll save that talk for more the alt season, but just giving some gems along the way. You need to put your limit orders in realistic places. But shit, if you're able to get in on this before it has an opportunity to hit double digits, I mean, incredible move off of something that is not likely to flush to zero. Unlike a lot of memery and nonsense right now in this market that's momentary. Because once these regulations set in, which I very much feel 2025 specifically is the year for that, right now they're setting the landscape for it with these ETF approvals, and they're doing that on purpose. It's strategy, all right? They're strategically making ETH, ETF, they're broadening the rules, if you will. That is not bullish on all ERC20 tokens, by the way. The SEC and other, not the SEC, but the government is going to start coming after a lot of these projects, a lot of them. You're going to see it happen more and more and more, and not necessarily just the projects, but the individuals behind them, the team behind them. I mean, we saw this happen with Do Kwon. We saw it happen with Sam Bankman-Fried. We watched it happen with CZ over at Binance. A lot of people thought that couldn't happen. I mean, that's probably the biggest crypto exchange. So yeah, it's the wild, wild west right now, family. And positioning yourself in high positions of your portfolio is what I want to say, in high percentages in your portfolio in venture capital stuff is not safe. Because if especially you don't know how to do TA and you don't know how to develop an exit strategy, it's going to be tough for you to play that game. So I'm just letting you know, I really like the fact that this is still kind of trading around this test zone. It is not the greatest looking chart on earth, but there's opportunity here. And we're looking at about almost 1,000% just to get back to the AR, 2,000 to 3,000% to get back to the all-time highs. And then, price discovery is getting you above 5,000%. That's incredible. And to get in on it now while it's boring. Also, I think this will trigger its breakout along with things like XRP, XDC, Stellar Lumens, etc. Let's go to NEO. And when I say venture capital, that means under 5% of your portfolio, okay? So this is not a large position. Under 5% of your portfolio. Okay, what the hell is going on here? It's like a double fib. Whoop, sorry. Anyways, all right, we have the NEO chart. It's been a minute since I've reviewed this, and this has a very similar vibe to IOTA, actually. OG coin, a coin with data that goes back to 2016. Big horizontal trading range here, also similar to XRP. So in a similar kind of vibe of XRP, actually. The lowest we went in the horizontal trading range was the C19 crash, and then the lower high was the automatic rally or alt season of 2021. The higher high is going back to January 2018, just like XRP. And then we've had this arduous kind of sideways boring bear market / recovery up till this moment. But it's great to have an older chart to look at. So we're going to pull a fib from this whole horizontal trading range, from the swing high of the all-time high to the spring, or the selling climax, I should call it, of the C19 crash. Here would be your spring. Here's your automatic rally. And now we're gearing up into an SOS. But it hasn't been that eventful. I mean, what's going on here? Yeah, it's been pretty boring, but that's okay. I mean, at least this coin did not drop lower than the C19 crash, which I have seen some examples of, one of which being, what is it? Is it Algorand? Yeah, look, Algorand dropped lower than the C19 crash. That's no bueno. Again, venture capital. Have fun. It's like playing in the slot machine. All right. This is good though, right here, this breakout. Let me talk about this horizontal trading range because there's an educational moment in all of this. We have a low, higher low. We have top, a couple of tests, and then finally breaking out above it. And I like how we are now back testing it. So what was a prior resistance is now being back tested as a new support. We need to now clear though this level, and I think that's when things will start getting exciting for NEO. So that's the 0.5 fib. All right, once we start getting above this level here, which is the 0.5 fib, by the way, I'm looking at the weekly chart. So this is a lot of data compiled into a smaller amount, or, 7 days within one candle. Yeah, a weekly close above 28. Let's just call it a weekly close above 29. I think would look very good. And then I believe it will probably, it'll retest the golden pocket shortly after that. So yeah, you'd be looking at a move up until probably the 786 very swiftly. Look right here at the way this bull run ended, where we have a blow off top, then we have a little bit of a bull trap. I bet you if we pulled a micro fib from here to here, it would be the golden pocket. On a shorter amount of data, you always turn this off, so you're in linear. Excuse me. Damn, this is all fucking weird. Anyways, it doesn't matter right now. This looks crazy. It's because of this ridiculous whatever the hell this was. But anyways, so this type of bull trap thing and the squeeze in between the macro golden pocket and then this move down into the bottom of the bear market shows me that this range is very significant. And I'm just bringing this up because I think we can move through that range very fast. So that would mean NEO breaking above this level here can send you up to around $85. And that could just take a month, and once again, it is back in a bullish essence, which would take Bitcoin to be in price discovery. So yeah, during the Bitcoin price discovery mode, which happened here, by the way, Bitcoin right here in December around Christmas into the New Year's of 2021 was already breaking the prior cycle highs. Then after that, look at what happened to NEO. It went up about, 800, 900%. So this is not something I'd be betting on. Not in my own portfolio. I know it's one of those OG coins, but there's no interest in it. I don't even think there's much of a community behind this. You rarely hear this thing brought up. Right now, it's really about the memery. That's what this cycle has been kind of coming back to a lot of the time. And these older projects are just like old news to retail. There's very little speculation, but that's not me trying to deter you from this project or your investment thesis. You do you, of course. Yeah, but with this type of structure, I believe the move above the 0.5 fib would get you out of this particular essence and then moving into some more recovery stage similar to this. But it's not really party time until it breaks above the 888 fib. And then I don't think this thing can make it up to the 1618. I doubt it. That's highly unlikely. I strongly doubt that. Let me see what it lost. Did it lose 99%? Yeah, it lost about 98% in the whole bear market. And that 4236 on the linear sitting around 816, that really don't. I mean, sure, maybe it could pull off 5,000%, maybe. But where's that money going to come from? Like nobody, yeah. All right, interesting chart. Really cool to see an older chart, but very little progress in this horizontal trading range that's been going on since 2017, and it's 2024. So this is very much like a similar chart to like XLM or XRP. We're looking at OX protocol, ZRX. Wow, it's been some time since we've reviewed this one. Horizontal trading range since 2017, just like the last project. This looks wonky. Holy moly. This is like the biggest W pattern of all time. This could triple top, and then it might go into price discovery finally. We got 11. Yeah, so we got this $10 4236. And then at the 6 spot around 14. All right, 10 to 14 could be a move. Double click this. I'm going to turn this back on just for now while we're still in this horizontal trading range. What we got going on? Yeah, that's good enough. But another kind of crazy that it's been stuck in this horizontal trading range for years, you know, like for fucking ever. No price discovery in the alt season of 2021. Sideways. C19 crash is right here. The bear market lows were retesting as low as the C19 crash. So I have a hard time speculating too much on this sort of stuff because there's no trust in a project that does this. Look at this energy right here where it just goes up in a straight line and then it gets a 70% pullback. This is not sophisticated movement. This is very speculative. Look at this. Look at this move. 400, down 70, up 100, down even lower, another 70. This thing is making 60 to 70% corrections on the daily. Look at this. Empire State Building top. The stuff that moves like this is not the best investment. I mean, it's just really not proven itself over the years, clearly, because it never went into price discovery during alt season. I mean, Bitcoin doubled. This top right here was when Bitcoin was at $19,000. This top here, Bitcoin was at $67,000 to $69,000. This thing was still at the same price that it was at 4 years prior. This is not where you really want to be putting a lot of attention, you know? So yeah, I mean, maybe recently there was an interesting move up, but look at where it went. It went to a technical level. It's what I teach you guys. This is the golden pocket. We got right to the 786, top of the golden pocket, big rejection, weekly close under it. And then the next week, a 30% candle followed by a break below the prior candle on another candle close. And then this just returned all the way back to the 382. What did I say earlier? I said once we get in the golden pocket, and I was looking at total 3 when I said this, total 3 altcoin chart. You could go rewind, listen to it. Oh, actually, no, I was even speaking about it with the recent move on Bitcoin. It was this, actually. I apologize. I take that back. What I was saying is after this particular stage, when you get up to the golden pocket, get these rejections on the 786 at the top of the golden pocket, you have a return back to the 382. And then I mentioned the 62,000 and then the handle of the cup and handle. That's specifically what I was reviewing. So yeah, I mean, this kind of moved straight to the 786, then right back to the 302 in the way that it's slammed down. It's not confident investing. It's just speculation and really, really poor. Again, I hope this doesn't deter people from this particular project. If you have an investment thesis that's built around it and you believe in this project, that's on you. But this type of chart in this horizontal trading range and its lack of breakout, even whilst Bitcoin is now trading at prior all-time highs, and this thing is still down 80% from all-time highs, and every time it pops up, it has a 70% correction. I'm not interested. Okay, we're finishing off with Jasmy coin. Okay, a little bit different of a story because lately it has had a very bullish recovery, but, and this is the biggest but of all buts, is this thing has been on a perpetual downfall. And it's still in price discovery to the downside. It lost 99.99% of its value from launch. This is what it did in the alt season. Everything went on an alt season, and then after alt season, it went on to lose, again, 99% of its value. So what we've seen recently with this big break above the 236 is it got straight to the 382, built a little structure there, and now it's on its way towards the golden pocket. And that's a very normal move after having a really arduous sideways consolidation range that lasts 2 years. So it gave up all of its value. Now it's popping up. This is great for people who built a position below the 236. It's probably going very nicely right now for you, which congratulations, by the way. Does this have more upside? Yes, for sure. Because if it could really break this level right here, which it's coming up against as we speak, if it could break that level, then we would start to see it reapproach this golden pocket. And now I know some people are like, well, Waters, wouldn't you want to pull the fib from like up here? No. The reason I'm not doing that is because this is an actual correction into an actual buyback, which has started the structure. Okay. This was your first big correction. And if I marked a ray right here, let me show you so you could actually see visually what the hell I'm talking about. Okay. So this was your weekly closes, and it lasted for about 2 months before a breakout. And then once it was done having a little bit of relief, it came straight back to that level. And then this is what really solidifies what I'm explaining. You see that bounce followed by a rejection, lower high. We got right back to the level. And then we had a struggle of 100 days before it said, okay, I give up. And then it just drained. Okay. Went into the selling climax. So this is the significant level. And you see how this just broke straight through that level? Well, now it's right back into the range between here and between here. Or effectively, I would call it the 236. So let's look at the daily and see. There was really no back test on this key level, and that's problematic. So I told you guys earlier, you know, if we move up to the golden pocket straight away, which from here would be another 200%, there are in many cases a return back to the 382. And you can see an additional 70 to 80% mid-cycle correction on this thing. Now, let me just, 1 second. Okay, anyways, I thought my microphone was being weird. But we have very normal during alt season, or during, I should say, crypto bull runs. 70% mid-cycle corrections are very, very normal. I think even with Shiba, there's probably a good example right here. So we have this huge rally on Shiba, and then if you take from this peak down to this low, got about a 60% mid-cycle correction. I mean, it's not that weird. It does happen. The AMP 60, full 70 almost on that wick. The Axie Infinity, 55%. These are crazy corrections that happen mid-cycle. So I've seen in the last cycle plenty of times where we're getting these 50, 60, 70% mid-cycle corrections. And if there was to be more bullish energy in this right now, coming all the way up to the golden pocket, the speed of which this moved, you could see that occur. But just note this level right here. This sort of blow off top that led to the selling climax lows. We're just now getting back to that level. Be careful here, because I think some FOMO might come in after things have gone up a lot in the midst of all of this, while other coins are like down and sideways. They get attention, and the market maker knows exactly what to do during those moments. So this is definitely a nice breakout that we're getting on this project. It's in a recovery mode, and if we can break above this 0.30 cent level, then sky's the limit. You know, I'm not entirely sure how the price discovery mechanism on this can go, but we're still below launch prices by 10,000%. So not a bad decision to maybe throw a little bit into this project if you just want to bank on some recovery back into the prior launch prices of April, May 2021. As you can see up here, just getting back into that level, effectively breaking here, would be putting you into a 5,000% move. So I'm not telling you to invest in this thing. Do your own research. Just sharing where I'm at with it all. So I'm gonna wrap this one up here. Also, by the way, some were asking when I'm gonna do my next what I'm investing in special. I'll be doing that most likely around Red Pill 170. So I don't know if I'll be getting around to it before that. We'll see how the things go in the market. But for now, we have a very important week coming up. And I think we need to keep in mind tomorrow and Tuesday as decoded. All right, the 6th and the 3rd of June, this weekly opening up for the stock market leading into FOMC week, to the following week. And it does very much feel like we're in a cup and handle right now, and we're in the handle phase, and we could be breaking out of this soon. But what I mean by soon is it's very dependent on how this new moon goes. Because if we see Bitcoin continue to stay below 70K through the new moon, it's likely we're going to have another boring month of June. And the stock market looking the way it looks right now, that would not surprise me. But the good news on that is the more we trade sideways, the more boredom there is. That means it's more opportunity and a more explosive price discovery. So I'm going to wrap this up here. I appreciate and I'm grateful for every single one of you. Again, if you want to take advantage of the intro price on my Decoding Mastermind, use your promo code to get an additional 20% off. And about 24 hours from now, this Decoding Mastermind will be going up in price for the first time. So you'll have that new crypto decoding blueprint added to it. Buy one, get one, essentially free, considering the price hasn't changed until tomorrow. And I appreciate all of your support. Enjoy this new project because I poured my heart and soul into it. It is fire. So many gems and it's so unique. So appreciate all of you. Wishing you a beautiful rest of your week in the Matrix. Much love.